Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good morning. It is Monday. I'm doing my makeup cast. Unfortunately, Friday. Listened to Bill Burr, and about halfway through work, I started getting a real bad toothache. I'm sure you guys know, the toothaches that make you want to, like, no matter what you do, Orajel or ibuprofen, whatever, whatever you do, it just doesn't work. And you get to the point where slamming your face against a brick wall seems like a suitable alternative. I got one of those. And I actually started the cast Friday. I got like 4 minutes in. And if I could have paused it, if I had a little bit of editing skills or, editing materials, I would have totally put it in there because it was funny as hell, it's, like I said, I'm talking and for like 3-4 minutes in and I'm just like, man, fuck this hurts. And that was it. And I wish I could have put it in because that'd have been a great start to the cast, but, no, so, my bad, apologies, for all that, for, being late. I'm supposed to be a professional, man. Supposed to be on schedule, perform through the pain. No, that's a good question. Do rich people, or not rich people, it's rich people, but, do actors and actresses, do they perform through the pain? I know, like, sports, they always say, oh, this guy was playing with a torn hamstring, and this guy tried to finish out the season with this injury, and this guy had a broken finger, and especially in hockey they do. I know football, it's a little different. Sometimes they'll try and play if it's smaller, like a sprain this or something like that. But, football, you can't really, I don't even know how hockey players do it, honestly, like playing with a broken foot or some shit. But, other sports, I don't know, for some reason you can't really do it much like that. But I wonder if, actors and actresses and, Bill's already done his podcast. He's already said, I flew into wherever with my wife and kids, so that's why I'm late. So if he can be late just flying in, fucking Milan or fucking Abu Dhabi or some shit, then, I don't mind being late for a fucking toothache. But no, what happened is, even worse, is I got my toothache, and I'm like, all right. So I started the cast, got a couple minutes in, and said, fuck it. And then I get home, and I think, all right, well, I'll just, I'll take some medicine. I'll get home. I'll do the cast later when this toothache subsides, because it'll go away. It was a newer toothache, not one I've had, so I figured, I'll get some mouthwash, I'll clean it out real good, make sure I, get disinfected and whatnot, keep my teeth brushed, and all, and, it should work things out. I can feel it, there's a bump, it's like I must have been eating some, not must have, I actually did this week, had some food with a lot of Parmesan cheese, and what I think happened is biting into it, when I was biting into the little Parmesan pieces, like I got some food stuck up in the gum around my tooth. And I think that's what that toothache's from, because that one's a whole different kind of toothache that's more manageable. And then the other one that popped up later Friday that caused me to wait until now to do the cast is that one's a wisdom tooth, and it's not the wisdom tooth that's going, well, it could be going bad, I'm not sure, but my bottom teeth, I have space in between my teeth, so I can. So the one dentist I went to as a teenager said, one said to get them pulled just because it's like a, I don't want to say circumcision, but it's one of those, like, you have it done. It's just one of those things you get done when you're young, to get it out of the way, so you don't got to deal with it when you're older, or deal with the pain, the problems, the yada yada yada. And one dentist, my dad's dentist, said get them done, but there was no specific reason other than just preventative. And then my mom, my dad was always like, the dentist said get it done, so let's do it, pay for it, bing, bam, boom, we're out. And, second opinion, no third opinion, none of that. It's just, this is what the guy said, so this is what we're going to do. Or, unless he decides, and then it's, this is what I say, so this is what I'm going to do. But yeah, there's no other opinions. Where my mom's side of the family, it's like, well, especially the more severe it is, you know, you get a second opinion, a third opinion, maybe even a fourth, you know, like you make sure that everybody is pretty much in agreement on this is what the fuck this problem is. And when my mom got cancer, we actually did that. Her first opinion was, you're going to die. You're not leaving this hospital. She went to the ER. She had like pneumonia or something. And, you know, ER, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but, you know, most poor people, broke people know that you can go to the ER and you don't have to pay right away. And yeah, you'll get bills in the mail and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, realistically, who can afford that shit? But, no, so yeah, she goes to the ER, you know, that's her, you know, I don't want to say scapegoat, but that's her way out of, you know, or not way out of, but that's her way of getting, you know, healing and treatment when she has no other option. So she went there because she was sick and, you know, couldn't afford to go to doctors. And they said, no, you don't got pneumonia. You know, you got massive tumors. You know, we're surprised you're alive, yada, yada. You're not going to live long. You're going to die right here. Stay in this hospital bed. You know, we're going to get the fucking hospice and the last rites and the nurses and all this shit. And my mom panicked and was like, oh, fuck that. Nope, fuck you. Like, you're not just going to, like, tie me up and tell me I'm dead. So she went to another doctor, brought me with her. Got a second opinion. That doctor, the nurse, said, oh, you just got a little pneumonia. You know, no worries. See that spot right there? That's pneumonia. You know, we'll get you a little medicine, get you on your way. My mom was like, oh, thank God. You know, that was scary. And I said, Mom, you know, of course, I'm not wanting that answer either, but let's get the main doctor here, because nothing against the nurse, but, you know, she's younger, you know, probably just got out of nursing school. I'm not saying she's not smart, capable, but I'm like, let's just, you know, find whoever the main doctor is, like the motherfucker whose name is on the title of the building or whatever, you know, whoever's the head, HMFIC, head motherfucker in charge. Find that doctor. And so we asked for him. He comes in. He says, how can I help you? But I go, you know, or my mom and I go, look, you know, she's at the hospital. They said this is cancer, blah, blah, blah. We come here. Your lady says it's, you know, just a spot of pneumonia, and we'll have it, you know, a Z-Pack and some medicine, and we'll have you, you know, straight away in a day or two. And I'm like, so that's a fucking, you know, that's a drastic, that's, you know, I'm going to die versus, you know, I'm going to take some fucking Motrin or, you know, whatever, and some antibiotics, and I'll be fine. And, yeah, so the main doctor looks at it, and he comes back, and you can just tell by the look on his face, and he just shakes his head, and it was like, and so my mom and I just, you know, burst out into tears. Because now, you know, like I said, now we got, you know, the hospital's opinion, and then we got the nurse's opinion. But the nurse, you know, like I said, she, I don't think she was looking, you know, I don't think she was thinking big time cancer like that. And so he looks at it and he's like, no, you know, unfortunately, he's like, what I see, I don't see pneumonia. I see, you know, that tumor, that cancer, that, you know, whatever it is. Well, I mean, it was cancer. It's not whatever it is, but whatever the fuck, you know, type of cancer or whatever kind of cells, where, you know, all that shit, like that doctor saw it as well. And we said, okay, this is what the hospital said. And he said, well, you know, pretty much, yeah. I mean, she was, you know, she lived 5 years. She fought it for 5 years. She did defeat lung cancer, but it spread to her, you know, the rest of her body after she beat it. Like she, it was like, okay, the tumor's almost gone. You know, one more week of chemo, one more week of radiation, and the tumor should be completely gone. And then that next week, it's like the tumors are gone, but we noticed there might be a flare up here, and here. And so then it was just this battle against, you know, the flare up here, flare up there. Fucking old McDonald had a flare up, E-I-E-I-O. And, you know, eventually she was beating them all. She had, you know, tumors in her brain, had surgery, and had radiation, beat that. And then fucking the one that finally got her is she got a tumor that it ripped open her stomach. And they said, unfortunately, you know, with her weight, size, malnutrition at the moment, I guess you could say, it was either die by not eating because there's a hole in your stomach, or if you do eat, the hole is going to allow the food that's, you know, being digested and the stomach acid and whatnot to leak into her, you know, into areas that's not supposed to, and she'll get sepsis and she'll die that way. So it's like, it's a double-edged sword. It's basically how you want to die, which I guess you know, if I'm gonna, well, we're all gonna die anyways, but, you know, when it's my time, if I get a choice, that'd be great, you know, because she got to choose. Like, she could have went out with some big fucking, like, steak dinners or something if she wanted, or, you know, or if she wanted, she could have said, fuck it, you know, I'd rather have, say, a few more weeks, but I'll be hungry, you know, but, you know, don't feed me, or, you know, I don't know, maybe there's, well, we're not in the money family, so, you know, there's no fucking, because I'm sure they could have put not a feeding tube, because you'd have to bypass the hole anyway, but nutrients. You could at least put nutrients in their blood, like the saline bags they have. I'm sure they got fucking like vitamin bags. I don't know about calories, but you know, there's got to be I don't know. There's got to be a way that could have helped. But like I said, we're not in the money family, so shit like that doesn't work for us. But you know, rest her soul. Love my mom. She fought a hard fight, and unfortunately, now she's just a statistic to, you know, so many people, and makes me think about it. Like, you know, I remember when Michael Jackson passed, and it makes me think about, because Ozzy Osbourne is going to be, you know, he's on his way, maybe not right this minute, but he's, you know, he's admitted he's on his way out, and you can tell by the Back to the Beginning show, you know, he was doing it for the fans, and maybe, you know, also his own personal, like the love of, you know, music, but it was more for the fans. It was to say, you know, goodbye, thank you. Like, I don't know, I felt it in my, you know, in my heart, and I don't even, like, he's the Prince of Darkness, so it's not even supposed to have that kind of heart, so to speak, but, no, yeah, the thing that gets me is, you know, the whole world does these outpourings of sadness for, you know, don't get me wrong, you know, they're talented, and you know, everybody loved what they did and whatnot, but you know, I'm hard pressed to argue the fact that, you know, my mom was one hell of an artist. Anybody that knows her, knew of her, anybody that knows me knows that my mom's art was, you know, I mean, fucking like Mona Lisa, not even Mona Lisa, because that was a painting, you know, back in the day, but take artwork, you know, of today with the technology, the pencils, the different materials like graphite, lead, whatever, you know, all the different shit they use. The eraser she used wasn't even an eraser. It was like it looked like a ball of gum that was chewed up, and she would just dab it on the paper, and yeah, it was a whole fucking ordeal. But no, point is, it's like, you know, she passed with no fanfare. It was, you know, just me and a few family members, you know, in our mourning process, and other than that, you know, the world fucking goes on without a fucking skip of a beat. But you know, God forbid somebody whose talents actually got noticed, you know, and not any more talented than the person that, you know, died before. It's just more talented in a different area. Okay, yeah, my mom wasn't a fucking musician, but she was a hell of an artist. She just didn't know how to, you know, it's like with me. Everybody said, oh, you're so funny. You know, God, you're so quick-witted. You come up with the, you know, anytime we're talking, you fucking come up with the comeback or yada yada. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, you know, say, take the first 5 years off of my life. So, you know, I'm almost 34. We'll just round it up because it's damn near closer to that than 33. So we'll round it up, 34, take 5 off. So you got 29 years. 29 years I haven't figured out how to get my style of funny into a way that's profitable, you know, or into a way that makes money, or, you know, gets me into a movie or a fucking show, or behind closed doors with some people, you know, the people you got to talk to, because it's all about who you know. It's not, you know, that's actually one of the things I was told in college. My first day in college, you know, I'm fucking graduating from high school. Oh, you did great, buddy. You did great. You know, you're going on to college, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get to college, University of Florida, and they're like, all right, we got an orientation in this classroom, blah, blah, blah. I head to the orientation. Guy starts talking, and he goes, all right, here's the deal. So you can get straight A's here, and you can dress, you know, I don't know how do you want to, in your Sunday best, you know, straight A's, Sunday best, resume, fucking spotless, beautiful. You know, I mean, everything just fucking, what's the word I'm looking for here? fuck, man, there was a nice fancy word that I was looking for. Everything's perfect. You're fucking as professional and presentable as could be. But when you go up to talk to the person, they start talking to you, and not even so much the questions like, well, what would you do if a customer was blah, 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 or any of that dumb shit, but just talking to them like, well, where do you come from? Oh, I'm from Atlanta. Okay, well, what'd you like about living in Atlanta? Well, it started with an A and ended with an A, so it was like a double A, I don't. And then it was a city. Like, it's the dumb shit. Like, when we went to Jimmy Carr and he's like, all right, any hecklers? And the one kid yells out, when's the comedy start? It's like, dude, you just wasted a heckle, man. How many fucking people you think have yelled at? Like, this guy's been doing it how many years? Like, Jesus, try to fucking think of something, unique. Shit. But, no, that was the point in the college class was, and the very first class was, you can get all, whatever the minimum passing grade, C-, or it wasn't a D or an F, that was fail. Well, passing but not credit, so you needed the C- at least to get the credit to get your degree. But, so it was like, all right, C- or whatever. You get your minimal passing grades. You have an okay looking or a kind of crappy looking resume. And then you get to the person, like the owner of the company, same guy that, Mr. Fancy just talked to with his straight A's and his fancy resume and his Atlanta AA story. And then you get there and he's like, hey, where are you from? And you're like, I'm from a little area by St. Pete and Tampa, it's a little area, Clearwater. It's got known for its beaches, blah, blah, blah. And then the guy's like, oh, I got family in the Tampa area. And you're like, oh, yeah, have you ever been to, Pier 60? And then you start getting into some conversation, and next thing you know, you're talking for 20 minutes, and, you're shooting the shit, and that's how you get in with these, not these people, I don't want to say it like that, like there's like a fucking subset, like, it's got to be a certain group of people, you can't just get in with one, but no, that's how you do it. Like when my dad got into monster trucks, he didn't just call him up and say, hey, my name is Joe, and starting next season in the first race, I'm going to be fucking there. And they just said, sure, we'll see you there. We don't know if you could drive. We don't know what you got, but just bring it on up. Fuck it. I don't think they do that. It's like NASCAR, I don't think they just, oh, you want to throw out your fucking, you want to put your Hyundai out there? Let's go. Just put it out there. Let's do it. I don't think it works like that. But, no, my babysitter was the wife of a monster truck driver from the Tampa Bay area when I was a little kid. And, obviously through that and through some other personal workings between my father and the monster truck driver that may or may not be legal in many states now, but in that day it was illegal in most states or all states. Yeah, so he became friends with him. And obviously you're friends with a well-known driver who's, one of the top at the time in his own right. He puts in a word for you now, like, hey, I know this guy who's, just as good as me as driving and yada yada, and there you go. That's your foot in the door. That's your word. So, in a sense, that's what the podcast was, always about. Was, like I said, it's not so much. I know 99.999% of these casts are going to be listened to by, 4 or 5 people, or it might build up. Who knows? But the point is, if I can get, like I said, the attention of one person who knows somebody. And they say, oh, hey, whether it won't be this cast, it's not too funny. But, whether it's fucking, the one where I'm bitching, or not even the one, the few I'm bitching about traffic, or the, the ones where I'm harping on Bill for being so political and not funny, or, anything, whatever. If somebody notices something and passes it on to any kind of producer, comedian, fucking casting agency, whatever, you never know. You never know. I mean, you just never fucking know. I say you know. You never know. It's one thing you do know is that you don't know. That's Jesus Christ. I don't know. Should I even go to work today? Holy fuck. Let's see, what can I remember about Bill's cast? Because I didn't take notes. I was working, kind of had a toothache. I know Thursdays, or one of them, he was actually funny. Well, I mentioned the last week he was funny bitching about the car. But no, he was funny. He was bitching about the car again, and then he was talking about how he wanted to buy something older. Oh yeah, it was the Christmas tree thing or something. Picking something up. I don't know if it was a tree or a couch, a bed. But he was like, and it's a good thing you have a good thing you have a an F-250 with the long bed or some shit like that. And my first thought was, didn't he say like a month or two ago that he sold it? Didn't he say, oh, I had my favorite truck and I sold it? So that was a thing because a lot of those car shows, the restoration car shows, where they get a car, they restore it, and they sell it, or they, or somebody brings in their car, like, hey man, I got this, 70 Chevelle or whatever, and I want to fix it up for my son. He's turning 16 and want him to be the cool kid in school. And then they're like, yeah man, what's your budget? And then like Bill says, or like any comedian say, it's always at the end of the show, it's like, fuck, the budget was $20,000 and now we're at $27,000 and we're 6 days behind. What do we do? And then somehow, they make a deal where the guy still buys the car for fucking $9,000 extra and fucking, all this dumb shit. But, what was I going to say here with that? Damn. I lost it. It was the fucking collecting the cars. And I was going to go into where, if you watch the shows after like a couple seasons, the cars they sold a few seasons before are parked on. Oh yeah, Bill saying he sold his truck. And yeah, and on these shows, these people that restore these cars, they're like, yeah, we restore them. And at the end of the episode, you see, Billy from Austin, Texas is here, and he got word that we were rebuilding this car, and he's interested, so here he is, and they do their little banter, I'll give you 25 for it. Oh, I already got 23 in it. I got to pay my employees, and okay, what about 27? Oh, well, the lowest I could do is 28.80, and then okay, well, about 28, and then next thing you know, they just blow each other and give each other the car. But but Bill, yeah, he said he sold the truck, and then he mentioned needing the truck and having or being a positive thing that he has the truck. So I'm wondering, is this an old story? Like, is this a flashback? Because he didn't say. So, I didn't hear. But is this a flashback story that you're telling? Like last year, Nia wanted to. Let's get a real tree, or like, let's not use the same plastic, or I don't fucking know the story, but. Or even not a tree. We need a new bed, and since it's Bill Burr and he's rich, he's got to have the double queen, double king, fucking double padded, double mattress, good for your back, good for your fucking glutes and your this and your that, and your fucking helps your circulation and your whatever, all this shit, So he's got to have the fucking, the emperor size mattress with all the fucking, 10,000 thread count and fucking all that shit. So, but yeah, whatever the story was, it made me question. I'm like, so is he like those people? Did he just fucking podcast that he sold the truck to make us all feel like, oh cool, he got rid of it, like he's gonna go and buy some classic, and what a cool dude. No, I mean, not that it wouldn't have been cool if he still owned nicer cars, but it's it begs me to question if he's like those TV shows, like the Jaguar. Oh, it was a piece of shit, I loved the car, but God, I had to work on it every day. So I had to sell it, and I made sure it was running good before I sold it. To me, that just means you got to tune up and you put it in the garage. I don't know. I got to see that all the cars are gone to believe it, and then, I mean, maybe because he was talking about driving Nia's car, and I don't think he would if he had his truck or his option. But no, actually, the last thing I said before my toothache killed me off, and I said fuck it. And the last thing I said on that 4 minutes Friday before I said fuck it and stop recording, is I said the funniest fucking prank. Like if you can get a hold of Nia, right? Because it's gonna cost a little money, but it's gonna be worth the joke. So, and the only reason it's worth the money is because, they got the money. At least, the way I see it. But anyway, I digress. So the joke is, somebody contacts Nia, and Bill's shopping for a car, right? And so she just, she's real smart. She's real, I don't want to say sneaky, not in a bad way, but I know, you could tell she's, she knows her way around to Bill. She knows, oh, that sounded bad, like Bill Clinton. She knows her way around Burr. How about that? But, point is, you can get her to fucking just pick his brain a little bit. Like, hey, honey, what's, what kind of car are you looking for? What kind of models, what are you interested in? Just pick his brain a little bit, see what he's got to say, yada, yada. And he might say, oh, actually, there's this really nice, 1969 Hemi Barracuda. I found it. It's in good condition, blah, blah, blah. And then, just have her just, if you can, just, oh, that's nice. Where can I go see it? Or, before you buy it, I'd like to look at it. Pull some wife shit. Like, well, I'd like to look at it before you buy it. And don't give him shit. Like, you want room for the kids. Just say, you want to look at it. Just say, we're a family, I'm not saying you can't spend any money, but I just want to see it. I like muscle cars or what. And then point is, Nia goes and sees it. And what you do then is you have Nia talk to the fucking owner, real quietly. And, you got to get all the cars that Bill's interested in if he's interested in a couple. It might be a elaborate joke, but whichever one he decides on, like he tells the person, all right, I want to buy this car. Have the owner say, all right, let us, go over the tune-up and all that, make sure everything's good for you. We're not going to sell you a car that's not running, so let's do it, and give us a call in a couple days or whatever. And then have them add on all the electric shit. Like, actually, don't even add it on, like, plug it in to the car, per se, but, like, have a separate battery that when you turn the car on, you got, like, the big fucking screen in the middle of the car. And put like a little projection thing for like the things on the dash. Make it like Nia's car, like the one he can't stand, how he bitches about it. And fucking how hilarious would that be? It's like you just, he throws down 20-30 grand on a resto mod or something and hops in, and it's all fucking electronic. Like he goes to start it, and that's actually not that hard. You could take the starter wire from where the key goes, not the starter, but from where the key goes. You could run that wire to that separate battery with those computers. So when you start it, all the computers would come on and everything, and all the lights, but not the motor. So he'd think it's electric, and he'd be pissed. He'd be fucking pissed. And then at the same time, Nia could be standing outside the car just fucking crying, dude, just crying, laughing. And of course, he's gonna be like, what's so fucking funny, man? They're fucking ruining these it's beautiful fucking cars, and they're fucking ruining them. And it's god damn it, it's fucking, I'm never gonna find it. She's gonna love it, dude. Oh, Nia, if you'd ever hear that, if you could fucking pull that off. Like I said, don't actually, fuck the car up. Just unhook the electronics that go to the dash and shit like that, and just have a little bit of work done, just enough to trick them. And then, and then after the trick's over, you could do like a fucking Ashton, have your kids come out. Yeah, have the kids like they weren't there, and then have the kids come out and or even find another car like that's a piece of shit car, but with the, and put a similar body on it, and then do like a double fake, where one car he thinks is his, but it's actually just the dummy car, but yeah, do it like Ashton Kutcher's, what do they call that? What was that show? Punk'd. Yeah, do it like Punk style, where Bill's fucking freaking out. He's fucking pissed because he's already paid for it. The guy's like, no refunds, man. I'm not a dealership like that. Like it's as is, dude. I already did a tune-up for you, and blah, blah, blah. And Bill, like I said, he's put all this money on it, and then you got your wife laughing. So, I'm sure he'll catch on that as a joke, but at the same time, your wife's laughing. So it's like, at first it's like, what the fuck's so goddamn funny? Nia, it might cause an argument, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a fucking hilarious laugh for you. And you'll never live it down, because he'll never be able to get over it. That'd be one of the greatest fucking pranks of all time. Oh, man. And, that reminds me, it's not even a prank, but my grandpa did something similar to my mom. So my grandpa, and I have no shame in saying this because he's been this way my whole life. And, when I was in high school and in college, my family was always like, keep him away from your friends. He's weird, he's etc. He was kicked off the police force for pulling over, underage women and blah, blah, blah. So, needless to say, I haven't talked to Grandpa. I don't really, again, just like I mentioned with my older sister, I love all my family, but, if they're doing stuff that I can't agree with or I can't get behind, I can love you from afar, but even that, I can't support that from any distance. But long story short is, so, he's into younger women, so he's in his, 50s, 60s at the time, shopping for my mom, he's with my mom on her birthday, and he goes, all right, pull into the Ford dealership, and my mom's heart starts pounding. She's like, oh my God, how old was she about this time? Probably about 35, my mom was, so, she heart's pounding, she's like, oh my God, and then he's like, all right, pick out whatever your personal favorite car would be. And so my mom's like, oh shit, here we go, I get to pick out a car, I'm so excited, blah, 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 and she picks out, at the time, it was like 2004, I want to say, so yeah, she would have been, almost 40, I guess, but, no, point is, yeah, so she picks out, it was like a early 2000s Mustang Cobra, GT. Yeah, it was the Cobra GT. It had like the nice hood scoop on it. I want to say 4.6 over the 5.0 because the 5.0 is actually a little weaker from what I hear. I'm not 100%. Now the 5.0 in the hatchback, in the Fox body, that's a different story. But that newer body, a little heavier. I don't know what exactly. I don't know. All I know is the cop car I had, the 4.6 in that cop car was a fucking monster. But, no, so he takes her shopping. He says, pick out the car you want. She picks it out. She's fucking like, damn near like tearing up, shaking. Oh my God, my dad's actually doing this. And he buys it for himself. He bought it for himself. Imagine that. Imagine your fucking dad takes you out. Or your mom, like say you're a guy. And your mom's got money, your dad's got money, whatever. Either way, your parent takes you out. You think you're going to be the fucking talk of the town, or whatever. I'm about to get a brand new fucking, 2000 whatever, brand new, off the lot, a couple 100 miles or less, Mustang Cobra. She worked at the beach, so, she's going to be pulling up to the beach, idling like a beast, just fucking all the guys staring at her, just getting the fucking attention and everything. And sure as shit, Grandpa drives the fuck off with it. No, he didn't leave her there, but, he drove her home, and that was that. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that wasn't even a joke. That wasn't funny, but, just that was my inspiration. Just to give you a background, I guess. Not that it fucking mattered, but that was my inspiration for the joke against Bill. Like I said, don't make it, don't actually fucking ruin the car, but get like either a dummy car. I saw that on Punk'd. I don't know if it was what's her name? Fuck, it was a Disney girl, not Miley. I'm gonna remember it after I'm done with this cast. I'll remember it. But it was one of the Disney girls from 2000s. Blondish hair. Anyways, she was having her car got towed, according to the Punk'd people. And so she goes to pick it up, and they had a dummy car. It was the same car, or same body, but it wasn't hers. And the tow truck guy's like, yeah, here you go, and he just releases it down the fucking tow truck, and the thing just goes fucking rolling down the ramp, and just crashes right into the right into the wall on the backside of the lot. And Hillary Duff, that's the name of it, Hillary Duff. That's what I think it is, at least. I'm pretty sure it's her. But yeah, goes and fucking gets her car destroyed. She's freaking the fuck out. They're saying you got to pay for it. You still parked incorrectly, and this is not our fault. If you didn't park this way, we wouldn't have had to tow it. And she's like, well, you're a tow driver, you know, it doesn't matter if it's parked incorrectly, your driver needs to be professional, and, you know, once you take my car, then it's your responsibility. And then the guy, of course, you know, working with Ashton Kutcher, so he's like, no, it's your responsibility, it's your car, it's, you know, you're doing the illegal stuff, we're following the law, and all this fucking big ordeal ensued, just to come to the conclusion that it wasn't her car, it was a dummy. So, yeah, if you could do that with Bill, like I said, when you find out the car that he wants, when he finds, like, that classic Cadillac or the station wagon or whatever the fuck, you know, he was talking about, he's looking for, someone fucking out there, you know, whether it's a fan, somebody who knows them, somebody just listening randomly that might get an email in, let's get this fucking point to Nia. That's going to be my goal for the rest of the summer. Get the point to Nia, or at least till he buys a car. Get it to Nia that we need to trick him to where when he buys the car, he's already paid for it. And then when he goes to get in and drive it away, when he turns on the key, it turns the battery on, like a separate battery with the computers and the lights, but nothing else. So he thinks that it's electric. And let's get his reaction. Like, if Nia could record, or actually have the seller record, and Nia can, like I said, she's gonna be laughing too hard. But no, that'd be perfect. That'd be fucking hilarious. Oh wow. Sorry to interrupt. Fucking breaking news bulletin. The greenhouses are closed until it says. Oh wait, no, it said see you in fall. Okay, never mind. Sorry, I thought it said see you next spring, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, it's July. But no, it said see you in fall. So now we have fall plants, huh? I didn't notice that last time. So, yeah, that's interesting. You know, I'm from Florida. We don't have fall plants. We have all plants. It's all year. It's they either survive all year or they don't. Yeah, there are no fucking fall colors in Florida. You don't get orange and red and pink and fucking all that shit in Florida. You get brown. More brown. And then when it rains, you get some green. And then when it stops raining, guess what? Brown. Summer, doesn't rain, brown. Winter, doesn't rain, brown. Fucking doesn't matter. Here, it's all green. Shit doesn't care if it rains or not. Let's see. What else did I want to give you? Anything else good? No, really. I had a joke that I don't know if I came up with it. Yeah, if I remembered it from somebody else. If you know, so if I did steal it, whoever stole it, I'm sorry. But you know, most of the time when you're, I've noticed for me, making the fucking podcasts and all that shit. Most of the time, all my best ideas come when I'm, most of my best ideas, sorry, I had to pull into work and we got a bunch of pallets sitting around everywhere. But most of the ideas come when I'm laying in bed. So it's like, do I get up out of bed and write it down, or do I just leave it, you know? Do I just leave it and hope I remember it? And usually I don't remember it, so that doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, so you know, that's one of the shitty parts about, I don't even know why that was included, but that's one of the shitty parts about podcasting is fucking the best ideas come at the worst times. And then, you know, Friday I had more of a response to Bill because I had just listened, but then the toothache flared up and ruined that. So yeah, sorry for the shit show. But on that note, what I can do is I can go back, listen to Thursdays, and then I'll listen to today's, and then tomorrow we'll put out Tuesday's cast. I got some, like I said, I got Oragel and some ibuprofen, so we got some medicine here to at least hold the toothaches at bay. Like I said, one of them is more of a wisdom toothache, and the other one's more, I guess, like an infection under the gums. But that's not so much the tooth, I don't think. I'm not sure. I'm not a fucking dentist. But we'll see what Bill says. Hopefully it's got some comedy. Other than that, I'm not even going to say have a happy, safe, sexy, happy, safe, sexy. Have a sexy week, you fuckers. No, I was going to say that, but I'll be doing another cast tomorrow. So on that note, you know, keep it cool for 24. And we'll see you on the other side. Go fuck yourselves. Bill, preemptively, before your cast, go fuck yourself. You're probably not even... Actually, his cast might be up because it's fucking 8:20 here, Eastern time. So over in Bill Land, it's like what? Fucking... It's like 4 o'clock probably for him or some shit, you know? Or fucking noon. Hey, look at that. I might actually get it in early. I might actually have time to write some fucking notes on lunch. Look at that, man. This might actually be a normal Monday. Which, if you don't know, they're all normal Mondays. But, yep, that's it. Talk to you tomorrow.